Hello and welcome back to the Probity Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Melissa Protchuk and I'm your host today as I'm flying solo for this episode for the podcast today. Unfortunately, Janos is unwell and instead of not bringing you an episode, which we never want to do, I was like, I've got this, Janos. I will do a solo episode today. So before you turn off the podcast and you're like, oh, if Janos isn't here, I don't want to listen, please give me your time to prove myself that I can keep you entertained for who knows how long today. I will preface that I am pregnant, obviously, as I've mentioned many times now, and I lose my breath very easily. So if you see me taking a break, taking a drink, and doing all of those things, just bear with me because I am like, wow, I don't even get a break today because usually when Janos speaks, I take a deep breath, I take a drink, and I can regather my thoughts, where now it's all up to me. So in my head, I'm saying this is going to be a really short podcast today, but you may be looking at the time of this podcast already and it might be over 40 minutes and you're like, Mel, we all know you're not going to speak for only 15 minutes. So we shall see how today goes, but I'm really excited to bring this topic to you because last week in our miscarriage episode, if you've missed it and you want to go back to that episode, you definitely can. It's episode 19, I'm pretty sure. In that episode, at the end, we wanted to discuss how we got back to a place where we felt ready again to try for another baby and be in a really good mental health space. And in today's episode, I'm not going to be talking just about miscarriage, but that's the example I'm going to use because in this episode, I'm going to be discussing with my notes, but also Janos's notes, how we got back to our healthier selves after a really big life event that completely derailed us. And I'm sure we've all, like you're listening to this right now, I'm sure you've had something in your life, or maybe you're going through it right now where you feel like you're going through something that you want to get back to your best self, but you just don't know how to get back there. I know the miscarriage was a big life-changing event in our life that just made me feel really stuck. And I felt like I was in a rut for the first time in my life. And I feel like I've coached a lot of women through these ruts and I've never really been able to kind of relate to them because I feel like I've always been in quite a good headspace and I can quickly get out of things. But the miscarriage was probably the hardest thing I've been through. And that's why I wanted to use it as my example today. But through all the steps I'm going to talk about today, have that kind of picture in your mind of maybe something you're going through. Maybe you're not even in that big of a rut, but maybe you're just feeling like, wow, I was doing well for so long with my health or with my mindset, etc., being my best self. And for some weird reason, in the last few months or maybe in the last year, you haven't been working on yourself. Maybe you feel a bit stuck and you don't know how to get back there and you keep looking back at all these, maybe these old photos of yourself, or you keep looking back on these memories and you're like, wow, I was so happy then. Why am I not happy now? I want you to picture how you feel, and that's the example you're going to use in this episode today. So, oh my goodness, sorry, I already have to have a drink of water. I should put background music as I'm drinking so you have something to listen to. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So, yes, miscarriage, life-changing events. I've had a lot of women message me in the last week already saying that episode last week was it really impacted them and it made them feel seen. And they're also in a place right now where they're like, well, I don't know how to get back to mentally feeling ready to even start thinking about falling pregnant again. So again, you may be a male listening to this and going, well, that's not the place that I'm in right now. You may be another female who has nothing to do with miscarriage or pregnancy. That's not even on your radar. I want you to think though, what is something you want to work towards? And with anything you want to achieve in life, I always bring it back to you have to be your best self before you can go into, living your best life. That's what I truly believe. So when we got to probably the pit of depression last year, like I was in the dumps. I dug the hole, but I dug it even deeper. I was camped there. I was really enjoying that hole. It got to a point where I realized, it was around September last year, and I said to Janos, I need to fix this because it got to a point where I couldn't have any more blocks of chocolate. No movie was enjoyable to me anymore. No more rot session on the lounge was enjoyable to me at all. So you get to a stage where you're finally realizing that's it. I need to move on. I need to actually make a change. But sometimes you've made that choice and you're like, okay, I'm ready to make a change, but I have no idea where to start. And I don't want to take away from anyone today that's actually in like real, true depression. Like if you are mentally going through something really hard that isn't going to be fixed by these steps, please get the help that you need from, I'm not sure, doctors, psychiatrists, whatever it is. But if you're just feeling a bit depressed, sad, and you feel like you can get out of that, but you just don't know how, then this episode's definitely for you, because I just felt so lost for the first time in my life. And I've taught, like I was saying, I've coached and taught so many women how to make these healthy lifestyles and healthy habits. And then I said to Janos last year, I felt like a bit of an imposter. And I was like, this is really off brand for me. Depression's really off brand. I know that sounds really funny, but I just felt so lost. And I was like, how do I coach myself? And I literally made myself my own client. And I would tell my clients, you've got to start within yourself first. So again, I'm going to use our miscarriage story as the example of what rut I was in and how I got out of it. But you have your example of life and what you want to be getting out of right now as well. So the ultimate goal was me trying to get out of that rut to feel better, to fall pregnant again in the future. But everyone kept telling me, oh, you can just try again. But I know myself, and I was like, well, I don't want to try again, even though if you listen to last week's episode, it wasn't that easy. I didn't want to go through all of that again and not be in a good mental headspace to feel excited again. Like I want to enjoy life. I want to enjoy all that experience again. And I'm not in that headspace right now where I'm even excited to even think about it. So let alone go for it. So let's push that to the side. So that was the ultimate goal, but I couldn't even think about that in that moment. And I wanted to give myself that fighting chance to feel excited again, but I had to put the work in. And again, I was like, oh, I understand where my clients feel frustrated at the start, because you've got all these goals, you get excited, but you realize, oh, like it's a lot of work to get back to your best self, but I knew it was going to be worth it. And something funny I said to Janos last year, and you may hear this and go, oh, Melissa, that's a bit like, I don't know, not dark, but a bit weird. But I remember saying, oh, I'm sick of feeling depressed and ugly. I might as well feel depressed and hot. And I know that sounds really superficial, but I remember just being so depressed, but also putting on weight for the first time. And just, it wasn't even the weight that was annoying me. It was who I became with that extra weight. Like, I don't like that version of Melissa who is lazy, who does eat chocolate over eating healthy food, who does all the lazy things, who doesn't get outside and enjoy the sunshine, who doesn't have joy in every day. Like, I don't like that version of me. She doesn't serve me well. So I was like, that's it. I'm either going to do this, or I'm going to stay here in this little hole, or I'm going to get better. So let's just focus on that first. And that's what I did. And the first thing that Janos and I spoke about was, I remember we were walking on the beach. This sounds so like in a movie, but we went down to Wollongong Beach. Janos and I were just like, we've got to get out of our environment. And we were walking, and I was like, I had this realization where I'm like, we have one life to live. Even though I always know that, I understand that, and we all know this, like we've got one life to live. For some weird reason, I feel like a lot of us, because we live so day to day in our everyday lives, we have our everyday little issues. I sometimes go, wait a second, we are not guaranteed anything. Like I wasn't even guaranteed our child in our pregnancy. And we have one life to live. Am I going to waste it kind of sitting around feeling sorry for myself, or am I going to go use the life that I've been given? Because I don't know how long I have left and all that kind of thing. I went really deep. And I'm not saying you can't feel sad in a really hard moment of your life. Like I felt it. I allowed myself to feel it. But like I said before, you've got to get to a stage where it has to change. Like it all comes down to a decision you've made. I know even for my clients, I can tell my clients, you need to do this, this, and this to change your life. But until a client decides to change their life and they're so sick of where they've been going that they want to change the path, that is when everything will change. And I got to that. So I was like, that's it. I'm sick of feeling sorry for myself. It's not like I all of a sudden felt better. I still felt sorry for myself, but I was like, there's something that I need to do about it. And the only person who can fix this is myself. So I needed to do the work inside for me. So that's what we did. It all starts with the habits that make us feel our best. That was the first step. So instead of thinking, oh, Janosch, like, how are we going to get back? We both individually were like, okay, how do we individually feel our best, feel our healthiest selves? And I know for myself, like, not just because I'm a PT, but because I know that training, moving my body, feeling healthy, fueling my body well with good nutrition, getting outside, inspiring and encouraging other people, like all these attributes that I love about myself is what makes me feel good. And I lost all of it in the miscarriage. Well, I allowed it. I all of a sudden was on the lounge every single day, eating chocolate, like people would send us food. So I was like, great, bring it over to me. I'll eat it by myself without any fork. I was like, I'll just use my hands. I just became not my best version, which is so fine. But I was like, well, the best version of Melissa, goes to the beach and goes for walks and does those things. She doesn't sit at home and watch Gilmore Girls for 10 days straight. And I just had to keep reminding myself, what are those things that make me feel good? And something that I tell a lot of my clients sometimes is start small. And I've seen it on TikTok before. It's called a dopamine menu. And dopamine's the feel-good hormone. Like when you feel great, that hormone releases, right? So it's a menu that you write down in your notes app or on a piece of paper, and it's little things that you can do every single day if you're feeling really sad. What are some things that you can do to bring yourself out of that feeling? So for me, it's something as simple as drinking a cup of coffee or going for a walk and drinking coffee. It usually involves coffee. It's not even coffee that I love. It's the act of having a coffee in my hand and smelling it. I don't know. It's something so amazing that maybe only coffee drinkers can understand that. I've like just a few small things, like it's a certain few Taylor Swift songs that I can listen to that make me feel really great. It's a certain person, I've maybe 5 people in my life. I have many, but there's 5 or 6 people in my life that I know that I can just talk to them and vent and just feel so good. Like there's little things that I can do every single day to make me feel good. So if I am feeling in a bit of a pit of despair, I look at that list and go, well, I haven't had a coffee today. I haven't talked to those people. I haven't got outside into the sunshine. Like I go through it and go, well, there's no wonder why I'm feeling so sad. So that's my first step for you is like, you don't have to like literally call it a dopamine menu, but have something that you can always go back to where it's like, okay, this is what actually makes me feel good, and start really small. I'm telling you, just even writing down a cup of coffee, whatever you like to drink. I was like, I needed some excitement to even wake up in the morning again. I know that sounds really sad, but sometimes like, even if you're not going through miscarriage, whatever you're going through right now, if you are in a bit of a rut, sometimes even just waking up, when the alarm goes off and you feel a bit like, oh, I have nothing prepared. I'm already overwhelmed by the big list of things I have to do. I can't be bothered to get up. Like it's pretty sad sometimes. And I was in that sadness. I was like, what's the point of waking up today? Because I have nothing to look forward to right now. And that's really sad. And I had to find ways to be like, oh, wow, like that's never happened to me before. I need to feel excited to wake up again. So having a cup of coffee, having like a good breakfast to wake up to as well. I'd be like, yes, my overnight oats are prepped. I'm actually really excited to have them because I put choc chips on them like last night. Like have something so small that it's going to get you up. I even bought new pajamas and like little slippers because I'm like, well, I get to put my feet in these slippers and go and, have a cute little morning routine. If you're not excited to get up, you're probably not going to want to wake up in the morning. So little things like that. Now, another thing as well is if you're not sure things that make you feel good, another place to start in is listing all the bad habits that aren't serving you right now. So I remember Janosch and I were talking about this and we really went ham on it. Like I was like, okay, Janosch, like what are the habits you're doing right now that aren't serving you, that are making you feel terrible? And I did the same thing. He asked me that and I was going through everything. I'm like, well, I'm sitting on the lounge most of the day. Probably not a good habit. And before you even start to fix it, just literally list out all the bad things. Don't be Mr. Solve It right now. Just be like, okay, these are all the bad things. I'm like, well, I'm not having any good nutritious foods right now. I'm just having this, like chocolate. I'm not getting outside at all. That's probably a bad habit as well. Like I just kept going with all the bad habits. My sleep routine was completely out because I felt it was really hard to sleep. And I was like, Obviously my sleep is really bad. That's something I have to improve. Like I just kept going with all the bad habits. Also, wasn't showering every day. Not a good habit and not something I'm proud of, but that's another thing as well. Like I would leave my hair, which if you're looking at the video right now, it is quite dirty. Don't judge me. But I think I got to like 3 weeks and I hadn't washed my hair and I was like, oh wow, like my hair is stuck to my head. Like I was like brutal with those bad habits. I'm like, okay, we really need to fix those. So before you fix them, name the bad habits and then go, okay, well, what's the exact opposite of each individual bad habit? So I'd go through them. I'm like, well, instead of being on the lounge all day, I need to get back into having a bit more of a routine. Instead of my crazy type A calendar that I did have before the miscarriage, let's start small. Instead of going from my bed straight to the lounge in the morning, I'm going to go from my bed and go straight outside and get some sunshine on my face. I didn't even say I'm going to go for a walk. It was just get some sun on my face and go back inside. That would really bring me back to life. Instead of having a chocolate block for breakfast, let's make some overnight oats. And instead of having coffee straight away, let's have a glass of water. Like I just started small with those kind of little things. Instead of having a shower every 3 weeks, let's go back to daily showers. I think that's a good idea, Melissa. So little things like that. Even I had to put a speaker in the shower because I didn't want to go have a shower. I was like, whatever, I can't be bothered. So I would listen to Taylor Swift in the shower or a podcast. And I'm like, well, that actually got me in there. You've got to entice yourself to get back in there. I was like a little child or a puppy dog. I'm like, I needed little treats to be able to do the things I didn't want to do anymore. Which sounds so crazy to me now because I do all of these things so easily and these healthy habits so easily now. And that's why sometimes when you're trying to talk to someone who has never kind of been in a rut or has always been healthy, which was me pre-miscarriage, I was pretty good with my habits always. I'd hear people say things like this and be like, suck it up, just go have a shower. Like I didn't understand. Where now I'm like, oh, like I literally had to force myself to do things, which now are such incredible habits that I don't even have to think about. Like I'm proud to say that the speaker is no longer in the shower. I can just get in there now and not have to bribe myself. So we all get there. And I understand what you're feeling right now. Let me check my points, what I'm up to. Next step was getting out of your environment. So for me and Janosch, we obviously work and live at home, which can be really hard sometimes when you are mentally in a rut to feel inspired to work again and find that inspiration to inspire other people. That's our job. I was just stuck in this rut where home was just unhealthy to me. So that is why Janosch and I, like I said at the start of this podcast, our big life-changing day for us was going to the beach that day. And we spent the morning where we grabbed a coffee, we went for a walk. We were walking, through the sand with our shoes off and feeling the sand between our toes. And there's something about, I don't know about the beach, but you feel like it's cleansing and you're like, oh, I can really change my life. That's how it felt. So if you're currently in that rut and you're listening to this and you're literally in bed right now or on the lounge feeling like you're in that rut, get outside. I know it sounds really silly, but please get out of your environment and don't go maybe to a family or friend's house that, you have to explain yourself to. Go somewhere that you just feel like you can just be in nature. Like I know for myself, I love the beach because it is cleansing, but it's also, I don't know, I feel like a different person there. I feel like I connect with my real self there. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And it's the whole environment of having a coffee at the beach. It really brings out the best in me. So I knew I had to go straight there. Get out of that environment and then start to write that list, like that bad habit list or the good habit list, whatever it is, in a different environment. You will notice now on my social media, you'll see me a lot going to the library every few weeks because we work from home. I'm like, I know if I get stuck in one environment for too long, my mental health can kind of go a little bit sidetracked. So I know for myself, the best thing for me is every few days, I actually need to get out of the house and drive somewhere and go do the exact same work I could have done at home. But for some reason at the library and the cafe that I go to, I feel inspired to just be like, oh, I feel like I'm in a movie. And I'm like, let's get this work done. I feel inspired to write all of these things. I know when I was also in the bit of a rut last year, I would walk to our nearest cafe, which was a good 25 minute walk. But the walk, I would listen to a really good podcast. I would get to this cafe really early, like as soon as they opened, I would sit myself down with my laptop and I started to write on my notes app like a list, and I'm going to mention it later in this podcast, but I wrote a list of everything that's going to make me feel good again. And I might go through a bit of it now on the podcast too. But I knew I needed to be out of my environment where my lounge was and where everything just felt sad to feel like I could recreate myself again. So that's my biggest tip is like go to a cafe, go to a park, go to a beach, go somewhere where you can just grab a coffee or your favorite drink or meal, bring your laptop or your phone or your iPad or something like that, and just start getting inspired again. Like you need to remember that you are the author of your life. And yes, God is the ultimate author and creator of our lives if you believe in God. But I truly believe that we can decide to do things at any time of any day. Like we don't have to wait till New Year's. We don't have to wait till Monday. You can start right now. I know you're listening to this, it's probably Monday, but you can start right now and completely change your life. Guess what? You hate your job. I know sometimes we can't quit our job, but you can, make everything out of your 9 to 5 so much more joyful. Like we don't have to be such in a complete rut all the time. Like we can change our life. If you are complaining about something right now, you have probably chosen that life. And again, that's not for everything. Like I didn't choose miscarriage, but I was choosing to stay in depression until I chose not to be in it. So everything is a choice. We could have gone through the miscarriage and I could have been like, well, it didn't work out and now I've got to think about the future. Like I could have done that on the day. But of course, sensitive Melissa did not feel that way. And that's okay as well. But I chose to allow my emotions to take over and to feel that. And I'm actually really proud I went through all the emotions I needed to because I'm in a much better place now because of that. So sometimes we do need to go through those ruts to get out of it. But there needs to be a day where you decide that it's over and you can't blame anyone else anymore. You are not a victim. You are the author and you can change your life, but it's up to you. Stop relying on your friends to inspire you. Stop relying on your parents. Stop relying on watching these motivational videos online that are like, you can do anything. And then you double tap it and you're like, yeah, I can. Then you scroll to the next video. Put the phone down and go change your life. That is what I needed to do. I was so stuck and I was like, I'm sick of watching these videos about miscarriage. I'm sick of watching old videos of myself where I felt so fit, healthy, and happy. I'm never going to be that person again. I need to focus on the future, and it either starts today or it's going to start next year or whenever I decide, but I need to decide when that's going to be. And I decided that it was going to change. So that's my inspiration for you today is I hope after today's episode, you're like, I'm actually going to change my life. Like, what is stopping me? There is nothing stopping us from changing our lives. I could quit my job right now. I could turn this podcast off right now, halfway, and just be like, you know what? I don't want to do the podcast anymore. I'm going to go back to university and go do another degree and become someone completely different. I'm not going to do that, don't worry. But you can decide to do anything. But for some reason, we all live this life, I think because society kind of builds us into this kind of life. But once you're doing something, that's what you have to do for the rest of your life. Guess what? You can change so many times. If you are not enjoying every second of your life or majority of your life, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad I did the work to get to where I'm at now because I want our child that's growing in my belly right now who can actually hear me. My app tells me that it can hear me right now, so it's listening to this episode. I hope this child feels inspired by the life that Janos and I are creating and the people that we are. And we are going to tell this child about its sibling, Anakin, and everything we went through. Like, I'm not going to tell it straight away. Don't worry, guys. Like, we're not going to trauma dump. But one day we will and be like, yes, this is what we went through to get to you. And this is what we had to do to get to a good place where we felt excited to have you and all these different things. And we hope that that inspires our child. I think, I'm going on a tangent now, but I just really want you all to feel so inspired to change your life because I know in the ruts it can feel so debilitating and you feel so stuck. And I remember just feeling like there was no motivation. There wasn't even a motivation, like I said, to shower. It was just like you feel a bit of a lull. Like I actually felt numb. I kept saying that to Janos. I feel so numb that I actually can't even be bothered to think about getting better. I was like, whatever. But there does come a day, and I promise you that someone's going to speak to you and inspire you, or you're going to inspire yourself to go, today's the day. I'm going to change that. So let's get back to the podcast. Another thing about your environment, instead of just thinking about getting out of your environment, fix the environment you live in. So whether it's just your room at home, if you live with your parents right now, or you have your own home, whatever it is, wherever you spend most of your time, if it is messy, if it is not inspirational, fix it now. You will know that my office now is filled with my vision board, and I look at it all the time. And I'm already looking at that vision board going, wow, like I'm already achieving so much of it already, and we're only in May this year. It makes me really excited. But it's not that that vision board has fixed everything. I've had to do the work, but constantly seeing it, whenever I feel a bit demotivated, especially in the first trimester of this pregnancy, I'd be so tired, and I'd look up and be like, this is what I prayed for. This is what I wished for. I need to do this work. I have to keep going, because all this vision board is only going to work if I keep going. So make a vision board, clean up your room, clean up your house. If you feel like, you keep dumping clothes on the floor, that's a bad habit. Put things away straight away. Like, have a certain time of the week where you have a cleaning moment, where you put a podcast on, some favorite music, and just bring some joy back into making your environment happy again. It shouldn't be mundane. It shouldn't be like, oh, whatever, like it's just my bedroom, who cares? Or it's just the lounge room or the study. Like, I get excited to wake up and see our place now, because I'm like, oh, we've got photos around, we've got my vision board, even like my meal prep, I'm like, instead of having all plastic containers, I got glass containers, because I'm like, I want to be really healthy and just really that girl. You know what I mean? Like, just romanticize your life and bring the excitement back to your everyday environment. Even if that's like your cubicle at work or wherever you work. Like, if you spend a lot of majority of time at a desk, make it inspirational. Have fun photos on your desk. Have quotes everywhere. Like, my whole album on my phone is filled with quotes, because I go back to them whenever I'm feeling a bit demotivated. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm the creator of my life, all these different things. So I always remember who I am. And like I was saying before, it really starts with you. So instead of like trying to change your entire life, you've got to be in a mentally healthy space to do that, right? So like I said before as well, Janos and I both worked on ourselves to come back stronger together. And we weren't going to come back stronger together unless we both individually were working on ourselves well. Because using the miscarriage example again, I forgot last year that Janos also went through it. I know I physically was going through everything, and I was just so focused on myself that I got to a point where I was like, this isn't fun for Janos either. Like, yes, nothing physically has changed for him, but emotionally, mentally, a lot has changed for him. He is seeing the person he loves the most, well, I hope so, me, go through the saddest she's ever felt, where, like I said last week, I go through sadness usually, and I find it really hard to speak about it, and I go pretty numb and silent. For Janos, that's what he hates the most. That's against his love language. Like, Janos loves to speak about things. And if I had to shut down, of course he's going to feel unloved. So of course I was like, wow, we need to individually work really well and get back to our healthiest, best self, so we can come back together so much stronger. And I'm not saying we ever departed from each other, but there was a stage for a few months last year where we were just in survival mode. We had our first few fights last year where I was like, whoa, like these are really big fights, because we weren't fighting at each other. We were fighting at the issue of miscarriage and everything we were going through. And we had no one else to blame, but we were kind of yelling at ourselves to each other. And I was like, whoa, like this is not good for either of us. And that's why we had to get to a point where we're like, it's time to fix this, because we actually really love each other and we're our favorite people on this earth. And why are we blaming each other for this, So individually, we had to do that. So I started with some goals. Like, I know it's so cliche to be like, start with some goals and figure out what you want to achieve. I literally had to start so small. And I wrote, like I said before, in my notes app, I wrote down, and I remember this cafe, wrote down in my notes app, everything I knew that was going to help me become my best self. And some of these I still haven't completely done, but I remember just being like, okay, Melissa, if you could do anything, if you could be your healthier self, what does she look like? And I really described her. And I wasn't describing my old self that I was pre-miscarriage. I was describing the new version of Melissa that I wanted to be, because I didn't want to become the version of Melissa I was pre-miscarriage, pre-feeling in that rut. I was like, I'm going to use that version of me and the pain we're going through now and all the greatness I had before this to become the most strongest version of myself and reinvent myself to come back the best. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And I just wrote like an insane list. I think I have it here. Like things like just feeling physically fit again. I was talking about my nutrition, presenting myself well, because if you saw photos of me in my miscarriage, which I'm not ashamed of, like 3 weeks old, non-washed hair, I got pimples for the first time, which again is not the end of the world as well. I think I put on 6-7 kilos in the miscarriage within a matter of like 2 months. I was like, I'm going to eat my feelings. And I remember saying to Janosch, and I'm not even lying, I remember saying, I understand now why people put on weight through grief or sadness or depression, because this chocolate is the only joy that's coming to me right now in my life. And that was really sad to say out loud. And as I said it, I remember thinking that's really sad, but I'm not lying. So I understand that, but I had to get to a point where I was like, food cannot be the answer to my problems and the excitement of my life. I've got to go find that excitement myself. Like strong mindset. I had put down all these business goals that I had, social media goals, this course that I wanted to finish, which I did. I was like, okay, I want to create this new program, which I'm halfway through doing. So stay tuned with me. I had relationship goals for me and Janosch, creativity goals for myself, the goals that I had to fall pregnant again, certain holidays I wanted to do, certain date nights I wanted to do with Janosch, like all these different things that I was like, okay, this is what the best version of Melissa, this is how she lives her life. And I just wrote down a massive list there. So start there, start small, and then build on that. So I started with a few goals and I just kept building on it. As soon as I remembered something or thought of something, I'd be like, oh, add it to the list. And eventually Janosch and I went on a date and I was like, are you ready to hear the list? Because I'm ready to share it with you. And you need to make sure you share it with someone that, hopefully your partner, that is going to be like, yes, I'm going to help you get there. And I love all of this. And that's what Janosch did. He was like, yes, let's get you back, like not even back, but let's create this version of Melissa and let's do it together. And I was like, yeah, let's go. It was a really cute moment. And again, like I said, start with the basics. You start thinking, okay, well, nutrition. If I want to feel good and get out of a rut, it's not about going, like, for example, let's use the miscarriage one again. It wasn't about me going, okay, well, we're just going to try again. No. Before I even felt mentally ready to try again, I was like, well, it's going to start with me feeling good. And what makes me feel good is feeling physically fit. So it starts with nutrition. I was like, okay, I actually feel really lost right now because a lot of my blood work had gone out of whack. My iron levels was completely out of whack too because I lost so much blood. Like there was so much that I felt so depleted in. Even though I coached so many women through this, I was lost. So I got help. I was like, okay, I actually reached out to an incredible nutritionist. Her name is Latoya from The Virtual Nutritionist. And she was incredible that just coached me through how to get through these emotions and not binge eat anymore and like just bring nutrition and love back to nutrition again and how to fuel myself properly again. And once I started to fall in love with fueling my body and not just filling my body, it was life-changing. So that's what I really did. Next is movement. Now, I'm not saying you have to get back into a 5-day strength training routine, but for me, I was like, well, I enjoy training, but now I'm going to start from scratch again. I'm going to create a program that I really enjoy. So I put all my favorite exercises in, and I started with just 3 days. I'm like, okay, if I can start 3 days and 1 walk a week, I'll build from there. And I did. I started with 3 days. I started to fall in love with it again. I was so weak and it was so weird for me to feel weak, but I was like, okay, well, this is what my clients feel. Let's keep going. And I used myself as an example to my clients constantly, which was a really good way for me to connect with people. With my walks weren't even thinking like losing weight or anything. I looked at my walks as it's my mental health walk. This is time for myself where I either walk silently, I walk with a friend, I walk to see the sunrise, or I walk with like music or podcasts, etc. So those walks started with 1 a week. And then I realized, I really enjoy them. Eventually, by the end of the year, I was walking every single morning because I looked forward to it so much. And that's it. I didn't start that way. You build on it, okay? Sleep was a big thing. My sleep was completely out of whack when we had the miscarriage because I was like, I just couldn't sleep because every time I slept, I felt like I could see everything again. But then I was like, okay, we've got to get back into routine. It was like me training like a little baby again. I was like, okay, this is my wind down routine. I'm going to read myself a book. I'm going to, pamper myself, have a shower, and get into bed at a reasonable hour and go to bed, put my phone across the room so I don't get distracted. And I had to teach myself again when to fall asleep and when to get up. And the morning walks really helped because I would get up to walk from 6 to 7 a.m., which means I have to go to bed early. And because I enjoyed the walk so much, I wanted to go to bed early the night before. So having that kind of routine really helped me. Hydration was a big thing too. Like I wasn't drinking water for ages when we went in that rut. And then I realized, I better start getting back into something as simple as drinking water. So I bought a really good water bottle. I was like, okay, let's buy a liter water bottle that I'm actually going to want to use. And that's going to excite me to drink more water again. Another thing is what's feeding your mind. A simple thing of like, instead of feeding myself with Gossip Girl and Gilmore Girls, even though I love them, I need to make sure that whatever's fueling my mind is really good right now. So I made sure that I was really, investing in good podcasts that were inspirational, like people that I really genuinely look up to. No, like there wasn't any like gossip podcasts or like gossip YouTube videos, like anything like that. It was all, how do I become my best self? And I was looking into all different areas. I was looking into pregnancy. I was looking into just mental health. I was looking into podcasts like, just with nutrition and training again. I was just, how do I feed that part of me again, that when I finish that podcast, I feel great. That's what you should be doing. If you're not reading or listening to podcasts or anything like that, or watching certain, like my algorithm, I actually restarted my algorithm after I miscarried because I was on like baby TikTok, and every time I'd open my phone, I'm like, I'm so depressed. You can restart your algorithm. I don't know if you know this. I restarted it and I made sure I started like watching inspirational videos on purpose. So that's all TikTok and Instagram would show me. So that's another tip as well. What are you constantly feeding yourself with? And having your non-negotiables, like all those things were non-negotiables to me. I'm like, I had to at least get 3 workouts in. I had to listen to a podcast. I had to say something nice about myself every day. You know what I mean? Like I had my non-negotiables. They started small and I expanded on them when I proved to myself that I could do those certain things. So it started with maybe 2 habits. If I could do both habits for a week, I'm like, great, I'll add another one in for the next week. If I could do that for 2 to 3 weeks, I'd add another one in. But there's no point bombarding yourself being like, okay, I'm going to reinvent myself and I'm going to put 40 new habits in my life. Please don't do that. I started small and I built on it. And all of a sudden, by the end of last year, I remember saying to Janosch, I'm like, I feel not like myself, but I feel like my best self. And that was a really good realization. It wasn't like some moment I woke up and I was like, whoa, I feel the difference finally. It was just a realization of, wow, the compound effect of everything I've done over the last few months now is starting to finally work. It didn't happen one day. It didn't happen in a week. It didn't happen overnight. But all of a sudden, I was starting to feel good. And I'm like, now I want to keep going. And that's where I got to a stage where I was like, I definitely want to have a baby again because I'm ready, because I feel good again. Definitely another tip is getting advice or some expert help. So whether that's if you're really depressed and like in a rut, like definitely go see a doctor or whoever. Like I obviously can't recommend anything there, but if it's like you're trying to get out of a rut, sometimes talking to someone who's been through it really helps. Someone who's not going to judge you though. Like there's some people, when you're speaking to them, they're listening, but not that they're liking that you're going through something, but they want to just know the gossip. They just want to know what you're going through. It makes them feel better about themselves. We're not talking to those people and you know who they are. Sorry. We are talking to people who genuinely want the best for you. So again, I'm not trying to hype myself up here, but I am so grateful that anyone who has been through miscarriage since we've spoken about it, who has felt comfortable to talk to me and message me. And like, I actually had someone call me over the weekend who just last week over Mother's Day had a miscarriage. I was like, 100% I'll talk to you because I'm not listening going, yep, see, I love that you're going through this too. Like it's not me anymore. I'm listening to that going, I know exactly how you feel and I know it's going to get better. And I love that I can be someone who's going to be there for you and show you hope that it can get better. Because when I went through it, there were only a particular few people that I really could just be like, hey, like I'm really depressed and this is how I feel. And there was no judgment. Those are the people that I still talk to today. And I'm just so grateful for those people and they know who they are. And you just need those people in your life. And if you don't have those people, I'm not judging you. I'm here for you. And I know you're like, I don't even know you, Mel. But I genuinely feel like I have gone through that rut to serve anyone who also is going through something similar. So if you ever feel like you need to speak, again, Every story is different, but if you just want to vent, I'm not someone who's like, oh, guess who also went through a miscarriage? They messaged me. I haven't told anyone. Anyone that's messaged me, it's a vault. I don't even tell Janos. It's all like, it's not my place to tell anyone what anyone's going through, but it is my place to help you if you would like that help. So just wanted to put that out there. But for me, like I talked to a few people, but I also got help from my OB. Like, you know how highly I speak of my doctor, for example. He is incredible. We did the work to get to where I am at now, where when I fell pregnant, I felt so confident in my body physically and mentally with the medical system and me as a person that I was like, I trust my body so much because I've done the work to get here. So highly recommend vouching for yourself. Really, if you feel like something's off, something's off, talk about it with a doctor, please, because we are never wrong about our own bodies. Please go see someone. I've got 3 more little tips here because I'm up to 40 minutes speaking. So me saying I was going to speak for 15 minutes. Look at me go. Actually, can I have a drink of water? Give me 1 second, guys. Delicious. Okay. My other tip of getting out of a rut is finding fun and joy in life again. I know that sounds really simple, but for me, Janos and I were like, we want to find the fun again in our life, but also in our relationship. So like for us, we're like, well, we don't want to bring a child into a relationship that isn't mentally ready to want to feel excited to be pregnant again, if that makes sense. So we were like, not that Janos and I ever stopped dating, but through those like months of really bad sadness last year, like I didn't even look at Janos. I was like, sorry, man, I'm dealing with my own things. He didn't even exist to me, which sounds terrible. Like we supported each other emotionally, but we didn't look at each other in the fun way we used to. Like we kind of like lost that. And we were like, well, we either keep going with that or we bring back our fun selves. And if you know Janos and I, we're goofy, we're fun. Like Janos and I are like children in grown-up bodies. Like we love our date nights. Janos and I will put weird music on and just dance in our lounge room. Like we'll put random TikTok dances up and we'll try to do them. Like we love all those random things. We love laughing. We love being goofy. Like I love our relationship because of that, because we're big kids and we had to find those kids again. And like, it wasn't just going to happen. So if you're struggling maybe in your relationship right now, maybe that's the rut you're in. I know it sounds really easy to be like, oh, just go start dating again. But sometimes it's just about finding the reason you fell in love again. So Janos and I would leave little notes for each other out around the house again, which was something we used to do when we first moved in together, which I love. So like Janos does it now from our baby. He did it last year from like Anakin, which kept making me cry. So I had to tell him to stop. He'd be like, oh, like, enjoy work today, love Anakin. I'm like, bro, you're killing me here. Where now he's like, baby and I love you. We're so proud of you. And he'll leave them in random spots. I'm like, that's so sweet. So little things like that where you just got to find the love and joy. Like we go on regular date nights again, which we always used to do. Like we are like, religious on every Thursday night being a date night, but we kind of let that slide. But like, no, let's bring that back. And again, if you have kids, I understand that's hard. So maybe once a month it could be. So we were just like, let's bring date nights back. Let's bring, dinners back. That was another thing. We were eating dinner on the lounge and just kind of watching movies and not talking and on our phones. We now, obviously it's not every night, but we try like majority of the nights to sit down at our table, put phones down. Sometimes we even light a candle if we're bothered, and we'll just talk about our day and be like, okay, like this is what we're working on, etc. This is how we feel today, and just have some fun with it. Like bring the life and joy back to the romance again and your life again. Even just putting aside like your relationship, small things like that we would do is like putting on music in the house again. Like Janos would put worship on and like we'd like wake up to that, or I'll put Taylor Swift on while I'm cleaning and Janos walks in and he's like, oh, I've missed this, you dancing around to Taylor Swift while you're cleaning. I'm like, yeah, I miss this too. And we just stopped doing the unhealthy things and we started doing the things that made us healthy. So that's another big tip too, is just finding the joy and the spark again and being a kid again. Like, when you're around a child and you realize like, wow, seeing life through a child's eyes is so amazing. And that's what I'm so excited to have kids for, is to be like, oh, like they get excited over like a rainbow or a sunrise, a sunset. I'm like, that is who I am and that's who I want to be again. So just find the joy. That's my biggest tip there too. Another big one is your faith. So, even if you don't believe in God or you have no faith, this doesn't just mean faith, but for us personally, like we never lost our faith through everything. I'm actually really proud of that we never blamed God. We obviously had moments where I felt really hard to speak to God. I was like, I actually can't pray right now. But we really invested in our faith again and brought ourselves back to God and realized that God has been through it all with us. And we're like, God, how do we get out of this? Like, it really helped us go, God, guide us and bring the right people in our path, bring the right ideas to our mind, so we know what, and bring us wisdom so we know what we need to do to get out of this rut. Highly recommend surrounding yourself, if you are faithful, with people, if you feel like you're in a bit of a rut, with faithful people. Like, that really helped us. Another thing, so if you're not someone of faith, and that's so fine, it's about who you surround yourself with as well. Like, I call them battery chargers versus battery drainers. And the battery drainer people are the people like when you have a conversation with them, you leave those conversations feeling drained. Like, they didn't ask about you at all. They're just like, of course we're allowed to have moments where we feel like we're not the best version of ourselves. That's fine. But if you constantly see someone and you know they just belittle you, they tease you, they're not excited for you reaching your goals, etc. Like, you just know that they're not your number one supporter. Try to limit your time with them and surround yourself with the chargers. The battery charger people are the people, when you leave a moment, like a conversation with them, you feel like you can do anything. Like, I met up with one of my friends yesterday and I say to her every time I see her, I'm like, man, every time I see you, I leave feeling like I can do anything. And it's not even like this friend of mine says anything in particular. It's who she reminds me that I am. And I'm always like, thank you for inspiring me and reminding me always who I am and what I'm capable of, because then I go and I just annihilate. Like, I just do all my work and I'm like, yes, I can do it. Be around those people when you're trying to get out of a rut, because you don't want to be around the people that like you being in the rut. And I hate to say it, but that is something that happens. People go, yes, the person who's usually above me is now below me. Let's keep them there. I hate that happens, but it's true. We don't have to hate those people. Those people, unfortunately, are going through something themselves. And instead of them trying to get themselves out of a rut, they want to keep everyone else down in the rut so they feel better about themselves. Let them be. You go and hang out with the people that are going to encourage you to get out of those ruts, okay? And another thing is, like, remembering there's a strength in vulnerability. So with those battery charger people, be vulnerable. Like, no one's perfect. No one wants you to be perfect. I have become more close with my friends, like my girlfriends recently in the last year, than I ever have before, because I've actually been open and vulnerable about things. Like, there's this one group I hang out with, my Swiftie girls, who I love, and I've been friends with them for so long. And in the last year, I think they've found out more about me than ever before, because I've just been open and honest about things and how I felt, where I always felt like I had to be not on with them, but like I kind of just always held back some things. And now I'm like, oh, I feel so nice to just be vulnerable and be like, I was struggling and now I'm doing well. And like, they're people who, you know, and I have many people in my life who just hear those things and go, I'm here for you. Like, I want to help you get out of this rut. So thank you to those girls. A quote I like to see a lot that's going around right now, and it's based on the note that I wrote down here, is you have to really believe that life can get better, and everything you've been through in the past, you've made it through that. So I look back now on the miscarriage and I can actually be like, wow, I actually don't hate that we went through it. In the moment I hated it, but when I look back, I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? Like, it's not the end of the world, because what I've come out of it now, because I did the work to get here, I'm so much better and stronger and more equipped to be a better parent now, and I can't wait for that. So I'm so glad I went through that. I'm not glad that we lost Anakin, but I'm glad that I became a better version of me through it all. And I could have either become a really bitter person and been like, no, I'm never having kids, this sucks, miscarriage sucks, life sucks. Or I could have become the version I am now, and I chose that to be like, well, it did suck, that's okay. But I'm going to honor Anakin's life and help other women, and also love this new child that we're going to have, because this is the child that's meant to be in our arms. And I can't wait to hold them and go, oh, it was always supposed to be you. Like, I know that. I know I'm going to feel that. So you have a choice always. And the quote is, you worry a lot for someone who always figures it out. I love that, because I'm not saying that you may be going through something right now that you haven't figured out, but I look back on everything I've ever stressed about before, whatever has impacted me in a negative way, and I go, But right now I'm in such a happy place in my life. And I'm like, well, all of that has led to this moment. And I've gotten through all of it. Even on days where I thought I couldn't get through a lot of things in my life that I've gone through, I've made it. So what makes you think you can't get through the thing you're going through now? You know what I mean? And my last point, wow, I did end up speaking for a long time today, guys. Have I taken a breath? I don't know. Is that the finish line isn't the goal. Now, my finish line goal was always, I want to be pregnant again. But I remember before we even fell pregnant this year, I got to a point where I felt so happy and strong and happy within myself that the end goal of falling pregnant again just ended up being a bonus. I got to a point where it was like January and I was like, Janosch, I'm surrounded by great people. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. We've started our podcast. I'm thriving with work more than ever before. Janosch and I have never felt more in love than ever before. I was hanging out with my family more than ever. It was just everything was going well because I put the work in over the last few months before that. It didn't happen overnight, but I put the work in to the point where I was like, God, I'm so excited to fall pregnant, but that's actually not even the thing that's not that it wasn't gonna make me happy, but it wasn't the only goal I had anymore. And that's when you know you've made it, where you're like, what a bonus it is if God wants to bless us now with a child. I didn't want to always be like, only having a child is the thing that will make me happy. But now I can genuinely say, wow, being pregnant with all the other greatness going on in our life makes me so happy that it wasn't the answer to my problems was falling pregnant, but what a joy and blessing it is to be pregnant. And I can't wait to bring this child into a family that Janosch and I have created that is so excited to have a child, but is also so equipped and mentally ready for that. Again, I don't know what having a child is like, but I know with what we went through last year that Janosch and I can handle anything now. And that makes me excited. So I want you to get to a point where you have that end goal of getting out of this rut, but you end up getting to a point where you're like, you know what? The end goal has changed now. I'm happy either way, whatever happens in my life now, because I know that I've equipped myself with the habits to survive anything. So I hope everything I've said today has made sense, because sometimes I can get on a bit of a tangent and be like, do this, do that. But again, if you've been through miscarriage, obviously that's the thing I've been talking about today with myself, always here to chat. But if you're in any other rut, it doesn't have to be as extreme as a miscarriage or a loss or grief or whatever. It could be just literally you're going through a transition in life and you feel a bit lost. Maybe you just got married and you're a bit like, wasn't marriage supposed to be the answer to all my problems? Now I feel a bit lost. I know when I married Janosch, I love Janosch, but the transition from being in my parents' home to Janosch, I was like, this is a lot and I don't know how to handle it. And I felt really stuck for a while, how to get back to a normal new version of myself. Whatever rut you're in, you can get out of it, but it all starts within you before you can completely change your entire life. So stop trying to change, for example, if you're hating your job, you're hating your relationship, you're hating the friendship group you're in, you're hating all these things you're going through in life, before you start blaming your life on everything else that's going on, you need to fix yourself first. And I know that sounds really annoying. And you may be thinking right now, Melissa, I'm perfect and there's nothing that I have to fix. It's everyone else around me. That might be the case. But most likely it's usually there's something in ourselves that we need to fix. Maybe it's our perspective. Maybe you're seeing things through a different lens that you need to change right now. And the only way that you can change that is by changing your life, changing your habits, becoming the best version of yourself that nothing impacts you. There is not one comment. And I can't wait, no offense. I actually can't wait for all the judgment. I don't want to declare this, but I have seen online that mothers get a lot of judgment. And I hate this. I'm not even, even before I fell pregnant, I would see this happen. I'm like, why are mums judging other mums? I'm actually kind of excited for it because there is nothing that anyone can say to me that will impact me anymore, because I know myself, I trust myself, and I'm so happy within myself right now that I'm like, there's nothing anyone can say that's really going to impact me. I can just brush it off. But if I was in a pit of despair like last year and someone said something to me, yeah, I'd get impacted because I was not in a good place to receive. So that's my biggest tip for you guys, is fix yourself first before you think about anything else. Because we can't change people. We can only change ourselves. Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully Janosch is feeling better and back for next week. Otherwise, another episode's coming to you from me and baby Prochuk in my belly. But it's been a joy to speak with you today. I'm probably going to have a 3-hour nap after this because I'm exhausted now. If you love this episode, please comment below, share it. Let me know if you ever want to chat about a rut that you may be in, because I actually genuinely love to hear about people's stories, because then I love to check back in with people and be like, oh, look where they are now after the advice we've given them. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert. Like, you know, I feel like after last year, maybe I feel like I can, you know, help people through things, but I feel like I'm a good ear to listen. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop talking. I hope you all have a great day. Bless you all. And I hope you live the pro body lifestyle.